Hi everyone, my name is Kevin. Today I want to show you how you can use Microsoft Forms to create both surveys and quizzes entirely for free. It's not going to cost you anything at all. And as full disclosure, before we jump into this, my HR department requires me to say this. I work at Microsoft as a full-time employee. All right, well, enough talk. Why don't we jump into it and I'll show you first off how to get forms. Here I am on my PC, and what we're going to do to get Microsoft Forms is we're going to go to the website office.com. Office.com is how we are going to get to Forms. So once you navigate to that website, you're going to see a website load and you have two primary actions. You could either get Office or you could sign in. If you have an account, or even if you don't have an account, what we're going to do is we're going to click on sign in. When you click on sign in, if you already have an account, you could go ahead and type it in here. I already have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. However, if you don't have an account, you could go ahead and click on this to create one. So you could go ahead and do that from here. I'm going to go ahead and type in my existing account, and I'm going to go ahead and type in my password. And this will bring me into the signed in version of office.com. And today I said I would show you how to use Microsoft Forms, but before we jump into Forms, I also wanted to call out that not only can you use Microsoft Forms entirely for free, but you also have all of these other Office apps like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote. You can also use these from office.com. Now, I'm going to walk through two different ways you could get to Forms. One of them is up here in the top left-hand corner. This is called the waffle. See how it looks like a waffle with all those dots? If I click on that, what that'll do is that'll bring up my core apps, so similar to what I see here on office.com. And if I click on all apps, I can then click on Microsoft Forms right here. What I could do is on the main office.com homepage, I could also click on all apps here. And then within here, I could click on Microsoft Forms over here. So that's how I'm going to get to Microsoft Forms from office.com. It doesn't appear on the homepage. So what I need to do is I need to click into all apps, and then I'll jump into Microsoft Forms. Here I am on the Forms homepage, and you see that I have lots of different options here. I'm going to run through just what some of the functionality is here directly on the homepage. So what I could do is I could create a new blank form, so I could start a new form or survey from scratch. I could also create a new quiz from scratch. What I can also do over here on the right, these are all these different templates that I could start with. So let's say that I'm a small business and I want to create, let's say, a customer feedback survey. Well, I could start with this. Let's say I'm a teacher and I want to send a course evaluation out to all of my students. I could do that as well. And here, if I click on more templates, I could see all the different templates that I could just automatically start from. Now, the nice thing about the templates, I'm going to click into one of them. The nice thing about this is this already has a whole bunch of pre-formed questions that I could just use. And let's say I don't like one of these questions, I could delete it or I could modify it. So I could go through here and modify the template as I see fit. So this is a nice quick way to jump in if I don't want to do the groundwork of building up the survey on my own. Now back here on the homepage, I've returned to the homepage of Forms. I also see all of my forms down here below, and a lot of my forms are a little lonely because I've gotten 0 responses so far. But here's how I could easily get back to my forms, and I could even go ahead and search for forms if I want to do that. Now what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how you could set up both a new survey or form and how you could set up a new quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to click on a new blank form. And what that does is it'll drop me into just a blank sheet here. And so there's not very much there, and I need to start adding some content. In one of my previous videos that I did, I ran a fictional cookie company. So here I'm going to pretend that I'm still running this cookie company, and we're going to create a customer satisfaction survey. So what I'll do is I'm just going to click in, and this first section here, this is the header for the survey that everyone's going to see. And I mentioned I have this fictional cookie company, so I'm going to go ahead and then paste in Kevin's Cookie Company customer satisfaction survey. And it wouldn't be a great survey if it didn't have some visual. So here's an option where I could insert a visual, and it brings up Bing search. I could also look on OneDrive, or I could upload a picture. But I'm sure the internet has some amazing pictures of cookies. So I'm going to go ahead and search. And these look very similar to the types of cookies we would offer at the Kevin Cookie Company. So I'll go ahead and select that one. And what that's done now is it'll insert the image alongside the title of my survey. And what I could do then as well is it has enter a description or a subtitle. And I'm going to go ahead and type that in and say, help us improve our company and get a free cookie in return. Now what I can do is, so this is the header to my survey. Now I need to add some questions. Survey is not very interesting unless you have some questions. And to do that, there's this add new button. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then you can see all the different types of survey questions that I can insert. You could do a multiple choice. I could do a text response, a rating. You could even have a date. And then you have this little caret drop down where I can see more. And so there are more question types. I could even do a ranking question, a Likert scale, a net promoter score question, or even add an entire new section. Let's say you want to break up sections on your survey. You have the ability to do that. So what I want to do is, for my first question with my cookie company, I want to see if people were satisfied with their visit to the cookie company. So I'm going to go ahead and add a rating question here. And I kind of like these stars. That seems pretty good. And for the question, I think what I'll say is, how satisfied were you with your visit to the Kevin Cookie Company? And so what I could do is right now you'll see 5 stars by default. If I click on the levels, I could go ahead and choose all the way up to 10 stars. But that seems like a lot of kind of nuance and options I'm giving people. So I'll stick with 5. And then you could choose if you wanted stars or numbers. I'll go with stars. And with this little toggle here, you could say whether you want the question to be required or not. I'm going to go ahead and require this question. Just to jump into the nitty gritty of what you could do with each question, you could also click on it, you could add a subtitle, you could add a label, and you could even add something called branching. What branching means is, let's say someone was satisfied with the Kevin Cookie Company, maybe I just shoot them off to the end of the survey, or maybe if they respond in, let's say a different way, maybe I send them off to a different part of the survey. So you could decide where they go based on their response to this question. That's what branching refers to. So I like this question. I think that looks good. And what I want to do is, the Kevin Cookie Company is a very large company and we have many different locations. And so what I want to do is I want to know, okay, well, first off, they were satisfied, but what location did they visit? So I'm going to add that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just have someone enter in a response to that question. And I'm also going to require that as well. One of the things I might also be interested in is, when did they visit the Kevin Cookie Company? Let's say that maybe I had a different crew on the weekend versus the week. So I'm going to go ahead and add a date question. And I'll say, when did you visit? And what's interesting then is when someone clicks on this, it'll bring up a date dialog and they could choose the exact date that they visited the Kevin Cookie Company on. And then maybe I want to add one more question down here at the end. And what I'll do is I'll just have this be a free form question. So once again, I'll go with text. And my question will be, do you have any other feedback for us? We're always looking to improve. We want to kind of end on a positive note here. And what I'm going to do is maybe I'll add, instead of a cookie now, maybe we'll add a smiley face. Let me go ahead. So I'm going to search for a smiley face and we'll go ahead and throw in this big smiley face next to the question. In terms of survey design, probably not the best thing because that might influence someone's response. You want to get honest and transparent feedback, but smiley face will probably put someone in a good mood and maybe we'll get some better feedback. And I'm going to go ahead and allow this to be a long answer in case people have a lot of feedback that they want to provide. And I'm not going to require this. So I'm just going to leave this as an optional response. And then lastly, what I want to do too is I'm going to go ahead and click on add question. And there's something called net promoter score. I'm going to go ahead and insert that. And the question is, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend or colleague? And then it's on a scale of 0 to 10, from not at all likely to extremely likely. So the question's phrased in a very good way. Some of the things I can also do with questions, I can move a question up or I can move a question down. So here I can move it down. I could also delete a question if, maybe I inserted a question that I don't want, I could delete it. Or I could also copy the question. So let's say I like this question, but I want to have a slight variation of it. I could go ahead and copy that and then insert it elsewhere into my survey. So this is the main functionality of how to add different questions into a form survey. I also want to show some of the other functionality here on the page. Up here in the top right-hand corner, what I could do is I could choose a theme for this. So right now you see I just have this kind of plain lightish blue green type background, and I could click on theme instead. And here I could go through and choose from all these different preset themes, whether I want just a solid color in back. So here I could set different colors, or maybe I could add some imagery in back. So maybe kind of a fun little city shot there. And I'll go with that one. I think that looks good. And what I can also do now is next to theme. So once I've chosen the theme and I'm satisfied with that, I could click on preview, and this will show me what my the form or the survey looks like on the computer. I can also see what it looks like on a mobile display by clicking on mobile, and here you see it's formatted very nicely for a phone if that's going to be the device that someone uses to fill out this form, and then click on back to go back to the previous page. Now what I can also do is up here in the top right hand corner, there's a set of ellipses or a dot 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 right here, and I could click into settings. This has some interesting things that you could do. Right now it's set to accept responses, but let's say when the survey is done and I don't want any more responses, I could go ahead and uncheck that. I could also set a start, and I could set an end date. I could also have it so it shuffles the questions, so the questions don't always show up in the same order. This way, if you want more of a randomized survey and maybe most people always respond just the first few questions, you could switch up the order. Another option is to email notification for each response. So let's say with the Kevin Cookie Company, every time a customer responds, I want to be on top of it. I could go ahead and get an email notification of each response. And lastly, I can also customize the thank you message. Right now, it's just a boring, your response was submitted, but I could say, hey, thank you for your response. Here's how you claim your free cookie or something like that if I want to customize the message. So once all of that's done, once I've gone through, I've set the theme, I've set all my different settings that I want, I could go ahead and click on send the survey. And what this will do is this gives me a link that I could copy, and I could bring that to Facebook, to Twitter, wherever I want to post a link to the survey. I have a few other options. I could also generate a QR code. So this creates the link in a QR code format. And so I could put that, let's say, on a PowerPoint slide if I'm at a conference, or maybe at the Kevin Cookie Company location on a poster, we have the QR code. And here I could go ahead and download that QR code. I could also get a link where I could embed it into a website or maybe an email signature, or what I could do is I could simply go ahead and email out my survey. So there are lots of different ways I can distribute my survey so I could start getting responses. Now, once I distribute the survey, what will happen is I'll start getting responses on it. And so you see I'm on the main question view. If I click on responses, this will now allow me to view all the responses that have come in. Well, I just created this, so no responses yet, but it'll tell me how many responses I've gotten, how long on average it's taken to complete the survey, whether it's still active. And here I could go through, I could delete responses, I could print a summary, or I could even create a summary link that I could share with others. And one of my favorites, you can also open all the responses in Excel if you want to do some in-depth analysis of, let's say, what your customers or what your students are saying in response to your survey. So this is a basic survey that you could create. I just clicked up here to go back to the home page of Forms, and I also want to show how to set up a quick quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a new quiz, and right now this is untitled, and what we're going to do is, just to have a little bit of fun, I'm going to call this the Kevin Stratford quiz, and the description is going to be, are you subscribed to Kevin's channel? And I'm going to go ahead now, and actually let's go ahead and search for an image of myself on Bing to see what comes back. And it looks like there is a picture of me that came back, so I'll go ahead and use this one of me. Okay, so there's a picture of Kevin, and I could go ahead and click on add a new question, and I'm just going to have it be a choice question, and I could say, are you subscribed? What's interesting with Microsoft Forms is based on the question, it'll suggest different options. So you don't have to go through and type each option. Instead, I could say, well, yes, no, and maybe. Those all sound like good options. So I'm going to click on add all. So here it's already added all the possible responses. And you probably know this, but here next to the option yes, I could either delete that option, I could display a message to respondents who select this answer, or what I could do is I could identify this, or I could indicate that this is the correct answer. And you probably already know this, but that is the correct answer here. This no is not a correct answer, maybe is not a correct answer. And I could even add some text here that says, maybe why not? You should subscribe today. So I'm just going to add that so when they select that option. Now, this is a quiz that I've set up. There's one right answer here. If I click on responses, you'll see that it's a little different here, but it'll also show me the percent of correct responses, and it'll give me some additional detail on how people have responded to this. And then I can also go ahead and click on send, and I could send out my quiz to my students or whoever else is going to end up taking this quiz. But that's how easy it is to create a quiz in Microsoft Forms. I'm going to click back here again. I'm going to click on Forms to go back to the home page. And here what you'll see is down here in the My Forms section, here I have my Kevin Cookie Company Customer Satisfaction Survey. And over here I have the Kevin Stratford Quiz. If I click on the ... I could create a copy, or I could delete the different forms. And once again, if I click into it, I could go back, I could see my responses, I could send it again if that's what I'd like to do, or I could even go through and then modify some of my questions. All right, well, that was just a quick tutorial of, first off, how you can get Microsoft Forms, and also how you could use Microsoft Forms to create both surveys and then also quizzes. If this video was helpful and you were able to create either a form or a quiz, please give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, hit that subscribe button. That way you get a notification anytime new content like this comes out. And lastly, if there are any other videos that you want to see me cover in the future, leave a comment down below. I read them all and I'll add it to my list of videos to create. All right, well, that's all I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.